Hello everyone, welcome back to Longswitch Academy. This is your host Subham Prajapati and I'm back again with a new video today. This will be our second installment of our series generating OTP through LWC. This is the part 2. So if you haven't watched our part 1 yet, I'm adding a link to that on the top right section that you can find and just check it out. Before we begin, if you haven't subscribed to our channel, do subscribe to it right now and just show your love. In case we are adding value to your wealth of knowledge through our videos and through our channel, don't miss to share it with your friends and do let us know your thoughts in the comment section. So let's begin. So as part of our demo, we tried developing a screen similar to this, and in the first part we were able to develop the first screen, as you can see here. Let me just go to the Salesforce org, and you see that this is how the first part or the first screen looks when you enter the 10-digit mobile number. When you just let me the controls. So okay, when you enter the 10-digit mobile number, maybe let me enter something. You were able to get the OTP from this component. Now let's develop the second part. The second part should look something like this, where it will accept the OTPs that we received, and it will just check whether the OTP was correct or incorrect, like that. Now, before we develop the second screen, we have to develop the parent component, which will contain both of these, and when we get the OTP, it will just hide the first component, that is the generate OTP, and it will show the second component, that is the verify OTP screen. In order to do this, let's go back to our VS Code. I'll create another component using this command, create a lightning web component. I'll give it a name such as LSA underscore OTP container. You know that as I'm developing this demo for Longswitch Academy, I'm keeping the prefix as LSA underscore so that I can bifurcate which components I'm developing for LSA and which are for other projects. And I give it a meaningful name as OTP container, or maybe we can give it name as OTP screen container, which means different screens for the OTP, generate OTP functionality. So this makes the more sense. I hit enter. Why it is not accepting? Should accept. Anyways, let's try again. I'll give a meaningful name. Enter. It is getting created. It just takes a couple of moments here. Okay, here we go. I will rename this to something else, and I'll go to the component explorer, and I'll go to the HTML part. Here in the main parent component as well, I'll configure the lightning layouts to achieve the responsiveness. We do have a dedicated video on configuring the lightning layout to achieve the responsiveness and design the mobile friendly components. You can check that out in our on our YouTube channel, and I'm also adding link to that on the top right section. You can find it here. So in the lightning layout, I want to support the multiple layouts, and here, since we will have two components, but they will be shown one at a time, so I'll just configure one lightning layout item. The size would be 12 in all the device sizes. When you check our specific video on lightning layout and layout items, you'll come to know what does all these attributes means, like size, small device sizes, and medium device sizes. So I highly recommend you checking out that video to know more about this. Here, since we just have as of now the OTP generate OTP component, I'll call that one out. So this is another what I say, another key concept in LWC. This is calling like child component into the parent component inside the parent component in Salesforce LWC. Here we had a component named LSA generate OTP that we wanted to call, or that we wanted to include inside our parent component. So this is the syntax. The C is the prefix or the namespace prefix used against the custom LWCs in Salesforce, followed by the name of the your LWC component. The name, as you know, we use the cable case naming convention for the LWC name for LWC in Salesforce. So you have to separate each word in the name by a dash. Here my component's name was LSA underscore generate OTP. So I used C as a prefix, that is by default I have to use. Then I use a dash to separate it out. Then my name was LSA underscore, so I kept it like that. Then the second word was generate, then that I highlighted here. Then the third word was OTP, so I separated generate and OTP with a dash. So that's how you can call a child component within a parent component in LWC. I'll add more meaningful comment here, so that other developers, if they come here and try to make some changes, they know what this line will do like in this particular LWC. It is always advisable to have a meaningful comment mechanism in your code, so that it becomes easier for the end users, or it becomes easier for other developers or other teammates to understand your code. So we have configured our child component. One more thing I missed to mention here, the size for the large devices. Now we have configured our parent component, have a reference to, or we have included the child component here. Before we deploy this to the org, one more thing that we have to do in the since now we will be using this parent component to represent to the users, so we have to configure it to appear as a tab. For that, I'll copy one configuration from this generate OTP, that we have to make this parent component available to be configured as a tab. So I'll go here into the meta file and I'll just copy paste. It is just nothing but I have configured the targets to include the lightning tab as one of the target, which this attribute makes our component available to different targets such as tab, lightning page, or record page, or maybe flows. Wherever you want to make it available, you can configure the target here. Right now I'm interested in just making it available for the tabs, so I just configure the lightning tab here. Once I'm done with these changes, I'll just deploy it. Okay, here we go. We'll go to our org. I'll go to the setup. I'll just demonstrate these tabs to create a tab for your LWC component. In the quick find, search for tab. Oh, why it is not doing that? Okay, search for tab and you'll find the tabs here. Click on that. Why it is not clicked? Yes, it lagged a bit. So the tabs, then from here you have to select this option, Lightning Components tab. Click New. And in the drop down list from this Lightning component, you have to find your you have to find your component. Do we see here? I think no, but if we go back to the code, we have configured it for the tabs, but you see the changes have not been yet saved. So this is one mistake that generally we make. We make the changes, we just forget to save it, and we just deploy it, and then we continue to wonder that why our changes are not appearing. So you should not be making that mistake. Make sure that every time you change a file, you hit the save button or Control S on your keyboard. Let's redeploy it again. Let me refresh my org here and we'll just restart. So I'll go to the setup. I'll go to the setup in my org. In the quick find, I'll search for tab. Here in the under the user interface, click on the tabs option. You will be taken to this screen. From here you have to go to this section, Lightning Component tabs. You have to click New, and under the Lightning component you have to select your component. You see, now we had saved the changes and deployed it. This LSA OTP screen container. Give it a meaningful name. I'll give it a name as OTP demo screen, and I'll name it as LSA. Just to remember that this was developed for Longswitch Academy. You can give any meaningful name to your tabs and add a description. Let me just add an icon here. You can choose the icon of your choice. I'll hit next, and I'll hit save. This will create a tab for me for my Lightning web component. In the app launcher, I'll search for my component, LSA OTP demo screen. That's what we had created. Let's see how it appears. Okay, you see, we just had included this LSA generate OTP LWC as a child component. That's what it is that's what appearing here. Now, as we discussed, we want to develop this kind of feature where on the first screen we will get the OTP. Once we have the OTP with us, we will we will verify that OTP and just show a message to the user. Okay, in order to make this possible, we have to make some changes into our child LWC, that is LSA generate OTP. And what are those changes? Since you know we are generating our OTP in our child component, so we need a way in place that through which we can get the OTP that we have in our child component into our parent component. For passing data or transferring data from your child component to parent component, there is an important concept that we have to use, and that concept is called event propagation or custom events. You wonder what does this mean? What do I mean by event propagation? This concept allows us to transfer or share data between child and parent, and this the direction of data transfer is from child component to parent component. So I'll show you how you can achieve this. Let's take a practical example of it. I'll go to my child component, generate OTP. Here you go, and I need to identify the event from where I want to pass the data from child to parent. Since we have configured a button called generate OTP or get OTP, on that click of that button we are calling an event called generate OTP here. Upon successful execution of this event, we are getting the OTP generated for us. Now this is the place from where we have to send data from child to parent, so that as long as I get the data or as long as I get a new OTP generated for me, I want it to transfer to the parent component. And for that we have to use event propagation. And how, you wonder how we do it? For that we have to use the custom event and we have to dispatch it. Next you might be wondering, what is the syntax of like creating a custom event and dispatching it? You don't have to worry about it. Let me give you a demo on that. So what I'll do, I'll go to the official site and I'll take a sample from there. I'll just copy these two lines. Only these two lines are needed to dispatch the data or custom events from child component to parent component. I'll take this data with me, or I'll take this code with me, copy and paste it. I will add a comment, define custom event. So what I will do, I will add a comment here, define custom event for sending the generated OTP back to parent component. So this is always important to write a meaningful comment for all the code changes that you make. And now let's understand this syntax, how this custom event is defined. So here what I did, I used a constructor of this custom event class, and this this constructor accepts two parameters. First, the name of the event. You can give it any meaningful name. It is not necessary to use particular names, but it should be meaningful and it should align with the data that you are transferring as part of your custom event. So here, since I'm passing the data back to the I'm passing the generated OTP back to the parent component, I'll use a meaningful name as OTP generation, because this handles my OTP generation process. And the second parameter is the payload that you want to send as part of this event. Like in case, since we are looking for forward to pass the data or the generated OTP from child component to LWC, so we need a way to configure that. So this second attribute you can specify as the payload or the data that you want to pass. So in the details, I'll just mention this OTP number. You can pass any number of data to it. Maybe you can also configure like JSON here, like this. Whatever whatever values or whatever payload that you are passing from your child component to parent, in the similar pattern you have to read in the parent. So for now, since I'm just passing the OTP number, I'll just keep it as simple. I'll assign OTP number to the details, and then this output of this constructor will be stored in a constant. I'll give it a meaningful name here, OTP generation event. So this is also important to give a meaningful name to whatever you do, so that it makes sense for other teammates in your team or other developers. And once you have defined the like what I say custom event, you just have to dispatch it using this event, using this method, this dot dispatch event, and that accepts the custom event as a parameter. Our custom event name is OTP generation event. So this is the only thing that you have to do from your child component to dispatch the event with the data to the parent component. This is called the event propagation. This is the part 1 only. And then you wonder what would be the part 2. The part 2 is to configure the listener in the parent component to listen to this event and receive the values. Otherwise, how the parent will come to know that one of my child is dispatching an event for me and then I will receive the value. For that we need an event listener. So let's first deploy this. My changes are deployed. I'll go to the parent component and I'll configure the listener. For configuring the listener, all you have to do is an prefix named on along with the custom event name that you have defined in your child component. What I have defined for my event name, OTP generation. So I'll copy this name, I'll go to my parent and I'll paste it here. On OTP generation it becomes. So this is the naming convention for defining listener on your parent LWC. And this is really important. This name should match with your event name for like prefixed with on. And in that you have to also configure the handler. I will give it a name like handle OTP generation. You wonder what is this handle OTP generation? This is the JavaScript function that will be called every time your parent component listens to this OTP generation event. And then you will ask where we will define it. We will define it in the JS part of the parent component. I'll copy this name, paste it here, define it here, and it will be a simple JavaScript function. Now the next thing, do you recall that we also passed the payload here, like the data that we want to actually read from the child component in the parent component? For that also you have to define a parameter to listen to or read to that or listen to those or handle those payload from the custom events. So I have defined it. Now I'll just add some logs to just make sure that whenever I generate an OTP in my child component, my listener in the parent is called and I receive the desired value. When I add the logs, I add proper log summary like this. I first add the name of the component, then I add the name of the method in which I am adding the logs, then what I am trying to print, event, and at which line number. This is the general pattern that I use. Like you wonder this, there is no rocket science behind it. I just keep it very simple. I want to make sure that whenever I read the logs in my console.log in my web browser, I should just get the hint that from where this log is getting generated, because as you work on big projects, there are a lot of logs getting generated across different LWCs, so it becomes difficult to track down. So I just develop this practice to have this kind of proper log summary or proper summary in the logs, and then I'll just use JSON. This is a good practice. You can also utilize it. And then I'll just deploy this. So this completes the configuration of listener in the parent component. So this entire thing or entire setup is called event propagation that handles the communication from child LWC to parent LWC. Now let's test it out. I'll go back to my org. I'll refresh this page. I'll enter a number. Let get the OTP. Now this OTP is from the child. Let's check the logs. I open the console of my browser and you see where my, like what I say, my event in the parent or the event listener in my parent got called. LSA OTP screen container, handle OTP generation, event 06. I'll go back here and see it got called. Now since we passed the data in detail, let me print that what I get in the detail, because here if you see I passed the data in detail. Let me deploy this. I'll go back, refresh the page. Enter the number here again. Get the OTP. Come back to the logs. I think the logs get not refreshed. Let me try refreshing this site. Sometimes, see, this is an important thing. Sometimes LWC takes time to take the changes. I have refreshed it and I just enter the number again. OTP is there. I'll check my console. Okay, you see now the event got called and I received my OTP here. Let me just highlight that. This was the OTP that got generated in the child component, this 409987, and the same thing I received in my parent component. So this completes the event propagation from child to parent component. And this is an important and crucial topic or concept, I would say. Every Salesforce LWC developer should know about it, should know the pros and cons of event propagation in Salesforce LWC. So I think that's about it. And so as you can see, we have received the data from our child component into our parent component. Next, what we have to do, we have to store this received value in one of the attributes of parent component. You wonder what kind of or what type of attribute we need to define? We have to define the type of attribute track. And you wonder why track? Because this attribute will continue to change as long as user continue to generate new OTPs. So I'll define a type attribute of type track and I'll name it as OTP number. Initially the value will be null. And next what I'll do here, since I'm receiving the value, I'll use this dot OTP number equals to event.detail, because I'm receiving the value in the event.detail. It should be OTP number, not number. You see, it is always good to cross check your variable naming conventions, and it should be equally good to give proper names to your variables. Now I have it here. Now how the user will come to know that whether we are receiving the value from the child or not, whether we are storing it correctly or not. For that, let's add one label or one information on the parent component. Before I do that, I'll go back to my I'll go back to my child component and make some changes here. I'll just prefix the label as child generated OTP so that this is just for the demo purpose, so that we know that which label we are getting from the child component and which label we are getting from the parent component. I'll copy it. I'll copy it and I'll go to the parent component. I'll add another layout item, paste it here. Now this another layout item like that I have just copy pasted, parent generated OTP, that should only appear when we get the OTP from the child, which means this OTP number should have a value. So I'll check if this has the value, then only I should get the message. Otherwise we don't have to showcase the message now. So I'll change the label here. We are not generating OTP here. I'll change the comment as show received OTP. And let's test it out. This becomes like makes the things clearer for the end users that okay, the communication is happening and we are getting the updated data. I'll refresh my page. I'll enter a mobile number. I'll get the OTP. But you see, the update didn't take place. Otherwise, we would have received a label as child generated OTP. So a quick trick I have is I just try to like change this file here. This causes a force refresh. So you can also use this trick to refresh your page, or you can try refreshing the screen a couple of times to make the changes take effect. So let me enter the name here, mobile number here. You see, now let me just move this screen a bit. You see, parent generated OTP, generated OTP. Why the child has not been updated here? I think I didn't deploy it. I have to first deploy it. But anyhow, when we just deploy and refresh, it will work. And this is the result that we are getting, which means we are able to pass the data from child LWC to parent LWC. Secondly, what we will do, now we don't need we don't need this message at all here, correct? Because since we are handling the communication through parent component, we can just completely hide this part. And what we can do, we'll go to the here, go to here, and around this, I think that is fine for now. Eventually we also need to hide it, or better we add a comment card here so that we get a background or something. Lightning card, and on the card we can just add this text, and here I just want to use a class for center aligning the things. This, or maybe I can just copy paste this entire thing. This is nothing but it has the SLDS class for the card, padding, and the text align center. So I'll go to my parent component and I'll remove this part. And I'll just add this class here. I'm just stylizing my message in the parent component. So I'll deploy it. Go back to my screen, refresh it. I'm just going a bit slow here so that you all understand the steps that I'm doing. and that is the only aim. That's why I'm keeping my speed a bit slow here. Again, it didn't take place. I just use my trick. Why the things are not taking place? Let me deploy this once again. Let me deploy this again. I'll go back to my screen. Try refreshing it. Sometimes these things become tricky. It takes time to take effect. Like you might have to do a couple of refreshes. I hope over the period of time it improvises. Let me 70. Why is that? Let's inspect and see. See here, the classes are not getting applied. Otherwise, you should have received the class for SLDS card and all. You're not getting it. Let me go back to here. Generate OTP I deployed. This one I deployed. SLDS card around. I think this looks great. This looks okay. I go back to the screen. See, this is why it is also important to know the debugging skills. Whether you can just inspect the elements and check whether the classes or everything that you are supposed to get are having or not in your inspect elements while you do the debugging. Now you see the refresh took place and this is how it appears. So this is the parent generated OTP that we defined. So this completes the communication between parent and child. So the next step would be to develop our verify OTP component, where we will pass this generated OTP to that screen and do the verification with whatever OTP that user is generating. Okay. Now let's design our verify OTP LWC. Before we do that, let's check out its design. So this is how it should look like. It is almost similar to what we have in the generate OTP, but some changes in the labeling and the label for the buttons. So what I will do, I'll go to my VS Code. I'll hit this command, create lightning web component. I'll give it a meaningful name such as LSA validate OTP. Now I'll just change it here. When you use good design practices, it becomes easy for you to reuse the code. So what I can do, I'll just copy paste this entire thing here from the generate OTP. I'll go to the validate OTP. And then I'll go to the the JS of generate OTP, copy paste it, it as LSA validate OTP. Validate OTP. I'll change the name here. Since the logo is icon is similar, we can use the same icon here. Validate OTP icon. Then this is the basic change. Then we'll also modify this JavaScript file, but it gives us the blueprint. On top of that, we can build our component, so which makes the development a bit quicker. So what label we have to keep? You see that first we have this logo section. So logo section has this thing. It is not generate OTP now, it is validate OTP URL. Validate OTP URL. So I'll copy it and paste it here. I have explained this thing very much in detail in the part 1 while we were developing the generate OTP screen. So in case you are having some confusion, you can just refer to the part 1 and have a good look around it over there. Since we have already developed it and I have already explained it, I'm not reiterating the same steps. So what I did, I just copy pasted the same code from generate OTP, and now I'm just making some adjustments in the naming conventions or labels as per our use case. Validate OTP URL, I copy pasted here. Yes, now the second part is verification. Here in the screen, verification is there. The third part is you will get a OTP via SMS. Here I'll add a label. You will get one-time password or OTP. Since we are demonstrating the process, we are not sending actual SMS, but we are generating the unique OTP in our generate OTP LWC component, so that you don't get confused that whether we are receiving the actual SMS or not. For that we can do that, but for that we need to develop the backend service to send the SMS to the registered mobile numbers and then get it back. So here via SMS, and I'll make this SMS bold as well. What happens to my caps lock? It is continuously open. Okay, the message part is also done. Then we have this input box. We already have this input box. Now here in the input box, we are not supposed to accept the phone number. Instead, we'll accept the 6-digit OTP. So what I'll do, I'll enter 6-digit. Is it 6-digit or 5-digit? I think it is 6-digit that we are getting. Yeah, 6-digit OTP. And here instead of handle phone number change, it will be handle OTP change. And again, as I have mentioned, we can configure the some different error messages when different type of input related error occurs. Where, for instance, whenever user enters a bad OTP, we should show a message that please provide a valid OTP number. Invalid OTP number 0 to 9, 6-digit. We also need to change the pattern, and again I have explained these things very much in detail in the part 1. You can always watch it there. And whenever user try to hit the button without providing a value, this value missing message will appear, that is OTP number missing. And handle OTP change. I'll go and check the event here. Until phone number change, no. Now I will be handle OTP change. See, this is also, you should know that you should be able to enhance the existing code, or like take the existing code as a blueprint and try to like update it as per your needs. So this also makes you a good developer when you can just leverage the existing code to like develop something on your own, so that you don't have to do everything from scratch. Phone number, no, this time it will be OTP number. OTP number, OTP number, OTP number. Then here also we want to make the button disable until user receives until this component receives a valid OTP number. OTP number. Phone number instead of OTP number. Now here we are not generating the OTP, it will be a validate OTP. I'll explain the working of this as well. Validate input, yes. In the validate input, what we will have to check the input conditions, and input conditions we have already defined here the pattern that it should, this is just nothing but a regex pattern, that it should accept only digits up to 6 digits only, and we are displaying the appropriate messages. I'll go here. This looks fine because we don't have to change it. We just using the we are just using the query selector to detect our input field, and then we are using LWC's feature to report the validity on for the input values. And again, this I have already explained in the part 1, so you can just go and check it out. Similarly, I think this looks good. In the validate OTP, we don't have to generate anything now. We will change this part later on, and I will tell you when. Validate OTP. Validate OTP. I'll give it this name. I'll go to the HTML part, and here what we have, the message verified. So whenever we click on the verify, what we need to do, we have to compare the input OTP that user is entering with the OTP that we got from the first component, that is the generate OTP. That's what we will do. Now our basic component is kind of ready, and what I'll do, I'll just deploy this. Okay, now the component is ready, but at which moment this should appear for the users? It should only appear whenever user receives an OTP from the first component, that is the generate OTP. So I'll go here in the my parent component. I'll add a more meaningful comment. Now since we have to use both of the component, it is good to add a comment for each one of them. I copy pasted it here, I'll paste it here. The next one would be validate OTP component start, validate component, and LSA instead of generate, it will be validate OTP, and this will be validate OTP. remove this. Now, as we know, we don't want to show both of the components at the same time. Only one component should appear at any given point of time. So how we will use toggle that? For that, we have to use a concept of conditional rendering. Okay, you might be wondering what does the conditional rendering means? It means showing the elements on your LWC component depending on different conditions. If certain conditions are true, you will show a set of component. If the other condition is true, then you will show the different set of elements on your component. So this is what the concept of conditional rendering is. Here we just want to show the generate OTP component when we don't have the when we don't have the OTP generated already. If we, in case we already have, in case we have a OTP generated for us, we need to show the validate OTP screen. So let's configure our component in that pattern. So I'll use a template tag. We use a template tag to define the conditional rendering within the LWC. If true, I want to showcase the generate OTP LWC only when the OTP number is false, which means there is no value in the OTP number in my parent component. And as you know, the parent component, the LWC the OTP number comes from the child component, which means if user has not already generated an OTP, this generate OTP LWC will show. Otherwise, what we will do, we'll just copy it, paste it, define another template like if else directive. Directive. Here we will use if true. If the OTP number is true, which means that from the generate OTP we have already received an OTP, then we will hide the generate OTP and we will display the validate OTP screen or component. I'll paste it. See here in the template tag you can use if false or if true directives to define the conditional rendering conditions for your elements. So this is also an important aspect or important skill that you should know when you start learning or when you continue to learn your LWC development. This is a good skill to know. And as part of this code walkthrough, I'm trying to explain as many techniques, as many skills as I can, which are commonly used practices in Salesforce LWC development, and eventually making you a pro in Salesforce LWC development. So we have defined the condition. Let's see if it works or not. I'll go back to my org. I refresh the page. I don't want to take the risk. I'll just hard refresh it for one time. I'll enter the phone number. Okay. You see the conditional toggling happened here. We for the first time we tried generating OTP using our mobile number. That OTP got generated, and as soon as we received the OTP in our parent component, the child component of generate OTP got hidden, and we received our new validate OTP screen. You wonder how did you make sure that it is our new component? You see, we defined this. You will get a one-time password via SMS in our validate OTP LWC. And here also we are asking for the 6-digit OTP input, not the mobile number. So we can make sure if it is working or not. I'll enter a 5-digit number. See, it is invalid. I enter a 4-digit number, it is invalid. I enter ABC alphabets, it is invalid. I enter some special characters, it is invalid. Then I try entering a number. See, now also it is not working. So there is a problem that it is even not identifying our 6-digit OTP number. In order to fix it, what we will do, we will go to our validate OTP screen and see what happens, why it is not working. So I just used a different regex for my for my OTP pattern. It is nothing but a basic regular expression that I'm using, but my earlier regular expression wasn't working, so I replaced that with a new one. It is simple regex. You can find it online, or you can just take it from any of the other sites. There is no rocket science behind it. So I changed it, and just to make sure that I receive the changes, I change something here in the placeholder, enter 6-digit OTP number, just to make sure that I receive the latest updates, because as we have seen, sometimes it is not taking the updates very easily. We have to refresh it a couple of times. So I'll go here, I'll refresh the screen. Refresh it one more time just to make sure that I get my changes. I enter the phone number or the mobile number, get the OTP. Okay, I received this updated placeholder, which means my changes are there. I enter a 6-digit number. See, now it is working. If I enter anything other than the 6-digit number, it won't work. Even I enter these characters, alphabets, it won't work. I enter the special characters, it won't work. When I enter only a 6-digit number, it will work. So this is working fine for us. So we have defined our new validate OTP LWC here that accepts a 6-digit OTP only. Now only thing that is remaining to do is to perform a validation on click of this button. So now the big question is how this validation will happen, because as we know, we are getting the OTP from one child component, that is generate OTP, and it is getting stored into our parent component. And the second thing, this for the validation or for the verification, we are receiving the OTP into another child component, that is validate OTP. So how this validation will happen? For this validation also, we have to use the concept of event propagation, which means whatever OTP that user is entering here on this input box under this validate OTP LWC, we have to pass it to the parent component and then compare it with the already received OTP. For that, we just have to simply configure a event handler, custom event handler, or custom event and the listener in the child component and the parent component respectively. So here under the validate OTP screen, we are calling this handle validate OTP on the click of on the click of this button. What that button is, verify button, handle validate OTP here. So on this event itself, we have to dispatch a custom event from this child component to the parent component. What I will do, I'll check if I have the OTP number. Yes, then I need to dispatch an event here. What will be the name of the event? OTP validation. Now here we are not sending the generated OTP, here we are sending the input OTP, whatever OTP that user is entering into the input box under this LSA validate OTP, we need to send that back to the user, to the parent component. OTP generation, we have to rename it to OTP validation. So on click of that verify button, user the parent component will receive the OTP that user is entering, and then in the parent component we will do the validation. And here again we just have to dispatch it, dispatch the custom event that we have defined. We will deploy it. Okay. Now another thing, since like in the previous like segment of this video, we noticed that when we define a custom event, we also have to define its listener in the parent. So I'll go to the parent component. I'll copy the same syntax here, or maybe we can write it on our own. So the listener starts with on, and the name of the event that we are dispatching from this validate OTP is OTP validation. On OTP validation, you have to define the handler OTP validation. I'll take this name and go to the JS, define this event here, and similarly we also have to define the parameter to receive the payload from the custom event. Now first, from the get generate OTP, we are receiving the OTP number, and from the validate OTP we are receiving the OTP number input. So I'll just copy paste this name, this entire thing here, and replace this OTP number with OTP number input. Here in the logs I'll change this and change the line number, so that I know what I'm getting into the second dispatch or second event listener. I have the OTP number here. I'll go to my HTML. Again, I'll also show a message as soon as I receive an input OTP from the validate OTP component. So received, not show input OTP. And just, if you're noticing, I'm adding a meaningful comments, and you understand what is the difference between this received and input OTP number. Those two are different things. And here, if I receive a value into this OTP number input attribute, then only this line will show. Instead of generated, I will add the input. Till this point, what we are doing, whenever user enter an OTP number, 6-digit OTP number into the validate OTP LWC and hit the verify button, we are sending that inputted OTP number to the parent component for further validation. Let's refresh this page 2-3 times just to make sure that we receive the updates. I enter a 6-digit number. But you see, nothing has changed here, which means the updates didn't take place. Let's enter the phone number one more time. Get the OTP, verify the OTP. No, we haven't received it yet. Let's check the console for the sake of troubleshooting it. OTP number is, no, we just received the one event only here. This one, just one event is there. Where did it go? not the second event. We are not getting the second event. So I need to refresh it one more time. See, this is sometimes getting annoying that it doesn't take the updates automatically in just the first refresh, but we can't do anything about it. I should have received, not yet. Let me see, did we deploy it? Yes, we had deployed it. Parent input, we have defined it. Why is it not working? Input OTP number. Here also we have the event. It's correct. Here also we have the event. Okay, this is the problem. See, it should be this .otp number, and for this it is not working, I guess. And just for the demo purpose, what I'll do, see, I was able to quickly identify it because I know the coding pattern. But in case like anyone beginner doing this and he encounters this issue, it becomes really problematic to fix it. It becomes really problematic to troubleshoot such issues. So for that kind of reasons, it is always important to use a try catch or an exception handling mechanism in your code. You should always use try catch. So that you know about the errors if anything goes wrong with your code. We have to use the same console summary to make sure that we identify the logs and its correct position. I go here, copy the name of the component, then method name. We are printing the exception at line 32 and E. And for the reference point, I just remove this so that I can make sure that I'm receiving the correct updates in my LWC. So these are the techniques to handle the exceptions as well. I missed it, and it was quick for me to identify the bug, but for the beginners it might be a problematic experience to troubleshoot such issues. So I highly recommend that you use proper exception handling in your LWC components so that it makes your troubleshooting process easier. Is taking refresh. I'll try my trick as well, just to take the refresh. I will try one more time. Yes, let's try entering a number. See, the update is now there. I'll enter a 6-digit number, verify it, and you see from the validate OTP LWC also we are getting the OTP here. Now the only part that is left is to compare the generated OTP with the new OTP, and depending on that we have to show the results. Now we are inside our parent component. we have both the values here. I will define another method, validate OTP, and what I'll do again, I'll use a try catch. It is a good practice to define define try catch in every JS method that you write for your LWC, so that it makes your troubleshooting easier. And what I'll just simply do that I will compare if this dot OTP number equals to this dot OTP number input. For that comparison, two more things that we have to check, that OTP number should be there and OTP number input should also be there, meaning that, in other words, that they both should not be empty. If they match, we have to show the success message. If they fail, we have to show the error message. And when we call this, when we receive the OTP input from the user. So command and we just have to call this method. So as soon as we receive the OTP input, we have to check the validation. Let's deploy this. Now you must be wondering how we will show the success and error message to the users. How would they come to know whether the OTPs are matching or not? For that, we will use a component provided by LWC. That component is called ShowToast. It is just nothing but a notification mechanism that Salesforce LWC provides. So let's see how we can use ShowToast in our LWC. For that, I have already visited to official Salesforce developers site, and I just tried taking an example from there. So for that, we just have to import the ShowToast event component into our LWC where we want to use it. And this is the syntax. You have to use the import statement, import ShowToast from Lightning Platform ShowToast event. This is the built-in component provided by Salesforce. We don't have to do anything about it. We don't have to custom develop it. We just have to use it. And then we just develop one method to utilize this component. Here I'll put it here. I'll put it here. And the syntax is pretty simple. You have to create a constructor of a class like ShowToast event using this new keyword, and that accepts one object or JSON object as a parameter. And there are three minimum attributes that you can specify to configure your notifications. First is the title of your notification, the message, the body of message body of your notification, and then the variant, like whether you want to show an error notification, success notification, warning, or an information. Depending on that, you can choose the variant. Let's configure this method. We are just creating this reusable method because we want to use this notification at two places, one for success, another for failure. So instead of repeating the code, we just develop we will just develop a reusable method. And once this ShowToast event is configured, like custom events, you just have to dispatch it using this dot dispatch event element or function. Before we move forward, let's use the parameters to define different attributes that we want to pass to the notification. I don't want to use attributes for this. I want to use parameters for these three. And here on the success, we want to show the notifications. This to show notification. What would be the title text? OTP verification result. Congratulations, OTP is missed. This is what the message that I want to show. Your OTP is matched. And variant, since this is a success, I would pass the variant success as the variant. Similarly, I copy it here, paste it. Similarly, we have copied it for the error messages, and since we are showing the OTP verification results, so the title would be same for the error message as well, or error notification as well. Here in the message, instead of congratulations, it will be hard luck because the verification failed and your OTP did not match. And in the variant, it would be error. Now let's try deploying this. I'll go to the OTP screen as well, and I'll just add some changes. I'll add one extra text here in the placeholder just to make sure that I receive the latest updates. Okay, here we have configured everything. We will go back. We have configured everything. Okay, here we have configured everything, and we'll just refresh this like LWC component. I'll just refresh it one more time. Just comment down below your thoughts, your suggestions if you have any. It will really means a lot to us. 70693 and I enter 652888 and verify it. You see, we received no notifications. Actually, we would have received a failure. So let me just refresh it again. I think it didn't take the changes yet. I will enter the number again. Okay, now I received a number into the placeholder, so I will enter a wrong OTP. Okay, why is that? Why we didn't receive anything? Okay, see, we received an error on line 21. I will go here on line 21 on the inside my parent container or parent component 21. I get the error. Why is that? This dot show notification. Okay, instead of title text, I have defined this. I should be careful about these things, but you know, sometimes it happens when you develop a lot of things, and you might miss a few things, but you have to be very careful about it. Let's refresh this page. But you see, since we had added the try catch block, we came to know that okay, there is a problem. did I receive the error? So here, let me enter the name again. Sorry, the phone number again. Refresh it. Okay, now this time it took the changes, and I'll enter the wrong OTP. You see, I got a notification here. Verification results did not match. It automatically disappears after 10 seconds, but you're getting it. If you hit it again, you will get the message again. Hard luck, your OTP did not match. Now if we enter the correct OTP, then also it is not matching. This is strange. 965227 277, sorry. Then it should match. Okay, 965277. It's not matching. Why is that? Let's check the conditions. OTP number input, yes. OTP number. OTP number is there, OTP number input is there. Let's try binding the variables here. Your OTP. Your OTP, this dot OTP input number is matched with generated OTP. This dot OTP number. I'm just trying to bind this value just to see what we get there. Did not match. This way we can verify that what values we are getting. See, this is also another way of like identifying whether you are getting the correct values throughout the process. If the values are correct, then also the logic is not working, the conditions are not satisfying, which means there is some problem in your code, in your logic. The component, let me just refresh this. Let me just refresh this one more time. Let me just refresh this one more time. Let me just... Accidentally I clicked at the wrong place. I will use my trick to refresh the page now. Okay, your OTP did not match with generated OTP, that is correct, but 837079. Eight three seven zero nine. Event 14. Why it is not matching? And OTP change. Here, if we go to this, here one value is this 14, then there is a space, I guess, somewhere in the space, because if you see, we are getting a space here somewhere, because I noticed that after 06 and this equals to, there is a space, and when we receive the OTP from this, there is no space from this validate OTP. OTP generation, there is no space. So what we can use, so this might happen in any situation, so we have to take the precautions for this. I'm checking, I need to trim it. We can use strings trim function to like eliminate the leading or trailing spaces. And just to make sure that I receive the changes, I will add a number. I will go to my component, refresh it quite a few times just to make sure that I receive my changes. The changes has not been yet reflected. Not yet. Let me try my trick. Switch to refresh now. Let's test it now. I will enter the number. I'll get this. Okay, it says that your OTP did not match with the generated OTP. Yes, that is correct. If I enter the correct OTP now, okay, you see when I enter the valid OTP, it says that OTP is now matched. So this completes the like OTP generation and validation process. Now, as you know, the OTPs are generally delivered to the SMS of user's registered mobile number. These cannot be shown here. So what we will do, we will go into our parent component and we will hide these two lines because we won't show this to the user, but we'll keep it in the backend in the system and use those two for the verification. Let's deploy it. Okay, it got deployed. Let me refresh the page. Let me enter the number. Get the OTP 725, but no, the changes has not been yet deployed, I guess. See, the changes are not yet there. So let me refresh it one more time. We should not see these two messages because those are not meant for this user screen. Those should be delivered to the SMS and the user then will enter it on the application. Enter the OTP. Now how would we know the OTP? But you see, when the user will know receive the OTP on this SMS, they will enter it here, verify it depending on the their OTP that they will receive on the SMS. They will enter it here and verify it. Once they enter the correct OTP, successful verification message will be displayed to this. We complete our code walkthrough on creating a complete MFA form using two components, that is first for generating the OTP, second component for validating that OTP. While we were completing this code walkthrough, we came to know about so many crucial and important concepts that are used in Salesforce, starting from lightning layout items, then concept of child component, then the concepts of lightning input and input, then input validation. Along with that, we also went through event propagation, that is communication from child to parent. Along with that, we also looked at how we can conditionally render elements. Down the line, we also went through how we can show the notifications to the end users depending on the different actions that they take on the application. So I hope you find this session, this code walkthrough, really insightful, and it really helps you in your Salesforce LWC development journey. If you have more suggestions, questions, or any feedback for us, feel free to use our comment section. If you like our content, if you like our work, we expect that you subscribe to our channel and share it within your community. Until next time, take care of yourself, keep learning and keep growing with us. Thank you so much.